Good evening. My name is Colonel Ray Lacey. I'm the Fort Sill Garrison Commander. Welcome to our quarterly town hall meeting. Tonight we'll attempt to provide you information on a number of community activities and also provide an opportunity for you to ask questions or submit questions online about events or issues of interest to you. I'd like to go, first of all, and talk briefly about security and safety here at Fort Sill. As many of you know, we've had some unfortunate events that happened at Fort Hood, Texas. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the soldiers that were injured and the family members of those soldiers and the civilians that were killed in that incident. I want to emphasize to you that Fort Sill, the Director of Emergency Services, Reynolds Army Community Hospital, our fire department, and the many agencies on Fort Sill are ready and able to respond to those type of situations and other critical incidents and contingencies that may occur at Fort Sill. Fort Sill and the Army are focused on your safety. Fort Sill and law enforcement and emergency services train and respond together daily and are ready to answer the call immediately. By coincidence, we just had a joint training exercise yesterday that involved all those folks, and it was very successful. I'd like to emphasize that everyone is a scout. Your awareness on Fort Sill and around the community is important. You know the area, and you know when something or someone is out of place. Report it. If you feel threatened, dial 911. Don't take it upon yourself to enter a threatening situation and put yourself in harm's way. But if you see something out of the ordinary, whether it's a behavior, a package, or a truck that you don't believe should be there, please call our DES and let them know. We'll respond and evaluate it promptly. Watch out for your neighbors. Take care of each other. And the key to our community, don't let someone else be a victim of a crime or incident you could have stopped. Call for help. Be a good neighbor. Medical assistance. Colonel Rave is here, the hospital commander, to answer your questions, but I'd just like to highlight that behavioral health providers are available 24/7 here on the installation. Don't hesitate to call. At the very minimum, if you have a behavioral health concern off-duty hours, come into the emergency room. The emergency room providers are skilled and able to get you the help you need if required. Fort Sill has a multi-pronged approach on how to deal with the wide range of behavioral health in addition to the services provided by the MEDAC. There's services provided by our Director of Human Resources as well as our Director of Morale, Welfare, and Recreation. Bottom line, there's a lot of help out there. All you got to do is come and look for it. Fort Sill is standing up a Community Health Promotion Council, which will facilitate the collaboration of community resources supporting our soldiers and families. What's that mean? That means the providers I just mentioned will come together in a regular fashion and compare notes and brief the commanding general and the senior brigade commanders on the installation to get out what's most important to our soldiers and families and collaborate for best practices and other means to help you. The Garrison increases force protection and increased vigilance at large events. When we have a big event, a concert or ball on the installation, our Director of Emergency Services and other agencies, both on and off post, take the extra measures that you may not see but are happening to keep our installation safe, as well as the attendees at the different events. We have increased our vigilance at the gates. The answer is not always to increase the guard, but in my point, and I believe General Halverson's, the answer is to enforce the current standard. So if you do wait in line a little bit longer or you're pulled over for an extra inspection, just understand that's us, the Fort Sill team, trying to keep you and your family safe as you live, work, and play on Fort Sill. The Fort Hood event is an isolated event. It is prudent to be prepared, but is not a normal occurrence. Unfortunately, the Army mirrors society, and unfortunate events happen. And we have to deal with them, and I believe the Fort Sill team is ready to deal with them. And the event was not directed at any family members. If you followed the events, unfortunately the casualties were mostly soldiers and a civilian police officer. Other things I'd like to discuss with you. The Director of Public Works has moved up construction on the Blue Beaver low water crossing in West Range this week, so it started on the 30th of November instead of the week of 7th December. Our 7th annual Kindle Mart will be 5 and 6 December at Reinhardt Gym. This is an opportunity to go shopping and pick up some of those holiday treats associated with Christmas. The Christmas concert this Friday, 4th December at the River Support Operations Center. I encourage you, if you're you're available on the 4th to go to the RSOC and partake in that concert. Our annual lighting of the tree ceremony will be next Monday, the 7th December, in front of the post headquarters, McNair Hall. This is open to the public, so all are welcome to attend. Our Tree for Troops program. FedEx and Christmas Spirit Foundation will support our free live tree giveaway at our Fort Sill Recycle Center, 12 through 16 December. These are free trees for our soldiers and families stationed here at Fort Sill. And I encourage you to pick up a free tree, take it home for the holidays. There's a reminder that the half-day holiday schedule for active duty troops will start on Monday, 21 December, and go through the new year. I'd like to tell you about one of our community outreach programs called Sill Facts. Sill Facts is a community meeting that's held each first Tuesday of each month at 10 o'clock. The next Sill Facts meeting is the 5th of January, 2010, at our Gunners Inn. Sill Facts is a meeting which the Garrison provides community information to our commanding general, brigade and battalion commanders, the family readiness group leaders, and our family readiness support assistants. Anyone in the community is invited to come and listen. A change in format starting after the first of the year is we will recognize various outstanding volunteers at the beginning of Sill Facts. We normally had been recognizing volunteers during the retirement ceremony every other month, but we're going to take the advantage monthly now and recognize multiple volunteers who give regularly to our community. So I'd encourage you, if you've never been to a Sill Facts before, especially if you're one of those groups that I mentioned, please come out and go to Sill Facts, 5th of January, 10 o'clock at Gunners Inn. Just another reminder, if you're familiar with our basic training units, their exodus, they're going home for the holidays, will start on or around the 17th December and end 2 January. So you may see a lot of our young troops heading out on various means of transportation during the holidays. That's what that's all about. If you haven't experienced it before, it's called the Exodus. The live broadcast of tonight's event will be posted on the Fort Sill Internet webpage, along with the public service announcements that you will see as commercials throughout the evening, as well as our questions and answers to all our Internet questions. Starting with February's Town Hall, we're excited to say we'll no longer accept Internet questions. However, we'll be implementing our ICE comments into the broadcast in order to promote that program. We also plan to host the broadcast live on the Internet in order to reach our customers who do not subscribe to the local cable channel that you're watching this on, or may not be here at Fort Sill, to include our deployed service members. So we're very excited about both implementing our ICE interactive customer evaluation system into our questions, as well as be able to provide the service of watching this broadcast from your home computer or your computer wherever you are in the world. Okay, our operator is ready to receive your call. Again, our number is 442-1100. The first question is there a program on the post that can help vets pay rent? And to answer that question for us is Mr. Jim Miller, who's the Director of Human Resources here at Fort Sill. Mr. Miller?
Thank you, caller, for calling in and asking that question. There's a lot of local agencies and activities out in the local community that can assist you with your rent. However, as a veteran, I don't believe you're eligible for any ACS or other Army support. I would recommend that you look to your local community, to your church, and other activities, and I would also recommend that you call the Veterans Administration to see if there's any eligibilities out there that anything out there that you may be eligible for. Thank you.
And was that caller on the line? I read the question, but I wasn't sure if that caller was still on the line. Okay, we'll go to our next caller. Okay, that was Donna that asked the vet's rent question. All right. All right. Okay, while we're waiting for our next question, okay, here it is from Mary. Mary, are you on the line? Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mary, with your question.
Hello?
Go ahead, we can hear you. Go ahead.
didn't know how to answer.
All right, Mary, you can go ahead. We can hear you online. Okay, Mary, I see on the monitor your question relates to trash cans outside and workmen not cleaning up after work.
I'm going to call back.
Okay. To answer that question is Amber McNeil from Purcern Housing. Amber?
Hey, you going to be at the L.
Hi, Mary. I appreciate your call. If it's okay with you, I'm going to take down your number, and we're going to find out offline what housing neighborhood you live in so that we can talk with the folks who pick up the trash on Mondays and make sure that they're doing a better job of taking care of you and doing that job correctly.
Okay, Amber, thank you for that. Our next call is Joshua. Joshua, are you on the line?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Joshua, thanks for calling in, first of all, and what's your question?
I just was wondering if someone could fix the light sensors at Minor and Sheridan Road where they're doing the construction by the lemon lot.
Okay, thanks for that question, Joshua. To answer your question is our Director of Public Works, Mr. Randy Butler. Mr. Butler?
Joshua, thank you for calling in about it, because probably a lot of folks have a question why the light is going through the cycles. Right now, we won't adjust the sensing as you've asked. Why that is the construction on the east side of Minor Road has basically, in essence, inactivated our ability to use the sensing system. So what we've done is put the light into what's called a manual mode, so it goes through all 4 cycles in all 4 directions. And that's the only way we can be safe and control the traffic. It can allow all the traffic to progress in the different traffic movements that need to happen while we're making that construction on the east side and have that loop torn up. Now, the construction is actually progressing quite well and quite quickly, so we hope to have that intersection back into operation probably in about another month and a half. So I'd ask you if you could bear with us. That's what's happening there at the intersection of Sheridan and Minor.
Thanks, Mr. Butler. Joshua, you still on the line?
Yes, sir.
Joshua, you are our first prize winner. And since you talked about a vehicle question, we're going to give you a free oil change and filter from our Auto Craft Center. To pick up that prize, all you have to do is come down to Building 4700, first floor, and visit our MWR reception desk and just let them know that you're a recipient of that prize, okay?
All right, sir.
All right, thanks for the call, Joshua. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like we have Mary who's tried to call initially and has called back. Mary, are you on the line? Hello, Mary. Okay. All right. Then we'll go to our next caller if we can, and we'll try to get back with Mary. Our next caller is Martha. Martha, are you there?
Hello?
Hey, Martha, how you doing? This is Colonel Lacey. Do you have a question? Okay. Mary, Martha, can you hear me? Okay. Hey, what we're going to do, I think, is go to our first PSA, our public service announcements, what we would call in the civilian world commercials. These public service announcements are quite important. I hope you enjoy them, put together by our staff, and are very informative. We'll be right back.
Most people like to put up their holiday decorations shortly after Thanksgiving. Before you begin the annual trimming of the tree, there are some safety measures you should take. For families living on post, Purcern Military Housing requires that all tree ornaments and decorations be non-combustible. Lights and lighting sets for use with trees must have the label of Underwriters Laboratories, Inc. and be in good condition. Never use electric lights on a metallic tree. If you plan to buy a fresh tree, please note that for safety reasons, they are not allowed to remain in homes longer than 10 calendar days. When buying natural trees, we encourage you to check for freshness. A fresh tree is less of a fire hazard. A fresh tree is green, needles are hard to pull from branches, and needles do not break. Cut off a few inches of the trunk to expose fresh wood and set the tree in water. Place it in a stable container that will hold at least 1 and preferably 2 gallons of water. Keep the trunk base covered with water and check the water level each day. Keep the tree away from heat sources such as hot air ducts and television sets. Remember, heat will dry your tree out. Outdoor decorations are encouraged. Families may put out holiday decorations beginning the day after Thanksgiving. Pasern Military Housing requires all decorations, including lights, be taken down no later than the first week of January. If you use outdoor lights, make sure they have been certified for outdoor use. To hold them in place, string them through plastic holders. Never use nails, hooks, staples, or tacks. Lights must be turned off at 10 p.m. each night, and remember to turn off all holiday lights when you leave your house. The lights could short and start a fire. If you have any questions or concerns regarding holiday decorations, contact your neighborhood office.
Need to pre-register for CYS services or sign your child up for sports and skies programs? Visit webtrack.mwr.army.mil to pre-register for CYS services membership, register for waitlist, and pay child care balances online. You can even print your CYS services child care receipts and tax statements. When you start your registration online, we'll contact you for an appointment. It's that easy. Log on today to pre-register, enroll, and pay. For more information, call 580-442-3927 or visit www.sillmwr.com.
Okay, welcome back. I think we worked out our new phone equipment, so the next caller is Jody. Jody, are you on the line? Hi, Jody, this is Colonel Lacey. Okay, Jody's question is, when will construction at Fort Sill Boulevard and Conklin Road be completed? Again, we're going to ask Mr. Butler, our Director of Public Works, to address that question.
Jody, again, appreciate the question. I think the intersection you're talking about is Fort Sill and Hoskins, and the construction there is, again, progressing really well at this point, but we've had delays due to the weather. And that's typical to anything that we do in the way of road construction. But the completion date right now stands at 5 January, and we hope that the contractor can continue to be on schedule to meet that 5 January date. But we're in the final stages of, you'll see probably here in the next week or so, the light poles or the traffic arms go up for the traffic lights, the actual pavement's done. So given that, we're real hopeful that we'll meet that 5 January date for you.
Thanks, Mr. Butler. I'd like to just to add on to that. We've been extremely lucky here and fortunate at Fort Sill that the majority of our construction projects, which have, if you live here, have been a lot, have mostly come on time. Only one major project has slipped, a building of a dining facility. But Mr. Butler points out rightly that we're at the victim of weather when it comes to road projects. I just urge you to have patience as we transform Fort Sill into the 21st century model of an installation, what's right looks like. So I agree with you. Drive up and down Fort Sill Boulevard all the time, and we look forward for that intersection to be completed. Okay, our next caller is Jonathan. Jonathan, are you there?
Sir.
Hey, Jonathan, thanks for calling in. Go ahead with your question.
Well, it's actually a twofold question, sir. One is why the trash pickup on Fort Sill was taken to 1 day from 2 days, because sometimes the trash cans are overloaded here in housing, and you end up having trash blowing down the streets. And the next one is about a question I asked Pickering Housing about a neighbor who actually has 5 dogs instead of the registered 2, and why after a month and a half and talking to the local office and going to building 4700, there's still nothing done about it.
Okay, Jonathan, well, both great questions, and both deal with our housing area. I'm going to let the representative from our housing partner, Pasern, Ms. Amber McNeil, attempt to address those questions. Amber?
Jonathan, thank you for calling, and first I'll talk to you about the trash pickup issue. Originally, whenever we transitioned to privatized housing at Fort Sill, we did make a change and go to a once-a-week trash collection, and we implemented a recycling program, which was something that the families that live on posts did not previously have, and so recycling and trash were collected on Mondays. I am happy to tell you that later this month, in December, we are going to move to a twice-a-week trash collection. We haven't set the final date on when that program will roll out, but later this month, families will receive a trash collection on Mondays and Thursdays. Recycling will still be picked up just once a week on Mondays, but household trash will begin to be collected twice a week. So that's some good news for your family if you've had trouble just keeping that household trash to the one trash can. So I'm glad to tell you about that. And then on the other issue with the dogs, on that one I will follow up with you if it's all right with you. I've got your number, and we're going to circle back because, yes, that is against the policy. There is a two-pet policy, and even if these were animals that were here previous to Pizern assuming responsibility of housing, there was, I believe, a three-pet policy prior to our transition. So even if those animals were here before, then they shouldn't have been, not that many. So we're going to find out, get an address from you so that we can further investigate that situation and get that taken care of.
Okay, Amber, well, thank you very much. Jonathan, are you still there?
Yes, I am, sir.
Jonathan, first of all, I want to tell you thanks for taking the time to call. Thanks for being an active community member, exactly what we need here at Fort Sill. I'd like to announce that you're another one of our prize winners, and you've won 3 free games and shoe rentals at our Twin Oaks Bowling. So congratulations on that. And again, to claim that prize, just come by Building 4700 anytime during business hours, go into the MWR reception desk, and they'll be able to give you that prize.
Well, thank you, sir.
Well, thank you for calling. Okay, our next caller is Martha. Martha, are you there? Hello, Martha? Okay, I'll try one more time. Martha, are you there? Okay, well, Martha's comment is that she wanted to call and thank the Directorate of Logistics on their great work during the Thanksgiving meal preparation and service. And just to accept that comment and maybe make a few statements about it is Mr. Jim Beezer from the Director of Logistics. Jim?
Martha, appreciate your comment. What I will tell you is our food service professionals go all out for Thanksgiving. That's their one opportunity every year to do great work. And so we appreciate the fact that you recognized them. And I'll be sure to pass that on to the folks in food service.
Thanks, Jim. And I'd like to add my thanks to all the food service workers and all the employees at Director of Logistics and all our employees on the installation that work Thanksgiving Day. Sergeant Major Powell and I visited a couple of work sites, folks that work every day, regardless of the holiday or the time of day. So thanks to those gate guards who are out there. Thanks to the folks in the hospital manning the emergency room. Thanks to our prison guard personnel still working every day. And all those others that I might not have caught. Thanks for working the holidays, and thanks for keeping us safe. Our next caller is Mary. Mary, are you on the line? Okay. Well, Mary's concern is, let me try one more time. Mary, are you on the line? Okay. Mary's not there, and I don't have enough information on the card to see what her concern was. But we'll go to our next caller, and I see our next caller is Jessica. Jessica, are you on the line?
I'm right here.
Hey, Jessica, thanks for calling in. This is Colonel Lacey. And go ahead with your question, Jessica.
Thank you. I am calling about the pool at Reinhardt, and I've been here for a while and know that it's gone through a lot of construction, and I remember that the ceiling, I believe, was one of the reasons or something that it was delayed in the first place to be open, but now it's closed again, and because of the ceiling, and we haven't heard anything other than, I haven't read anything other than it's still closed because of falling ceiling tiles, and I'm wondering what the deal is on that.
Well, Jessica, it's a good question. If I can actually just to turn down the volume on your TV set so we don't have the feedback. But
Sorry.
Jessica, I'll attempt to answer the question about the Reinhardt pool. Unfortunately, we had some ceiling tiles fall down, and we had to get with the original contractor who installed them. After some mediation between our Director of Contracting, our Public Works Director, and the contractor has agreed to come back in and fix the tiles. And if you happen to have been by the pool in the last day or so, you'll see that work has begun. And I do agree with you. Our pool has been closed for renovations previously, and this is disappointing. The good news is we expect the construction to be done within 30 to 45 days, so hopefully you'll see that pool open by the first of the year. Any other questions, Jessica?
No, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Colonel.
And Jessica, if you stay online, I'd like to give you another prize. You popped up as another one of our prize winners. And you also win the prize of 3 free games of bowling and shoe rentals at Twin Oaks Bowling. And again, you could pick that prize up at the MWR reception area in Building 4700 whenever you have a chance during the duty day.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica. Okay, our next caller is Martha. Martha, are you on the line?
Hello.
Okay, Martha. Hi, this is Colonel Lacey.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Martha?
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me, Martha? Okay, well, I know Martha's question because it's on the monitor in front of me, and Martha, Martha wants to encourage people to visit the stray facility, Adopt a Pet, and we have a great stray facility here at Fort Sill, run by our team from Veterinary Services, and they'll help you adopt a pet. So, Martha, you're spot on. We do need to take care of our pets, and please visit the veterinary clinic. Now, it's not closed. There are some construction going on in front of it, but if you go to the rear entrance, you can get in and visit our veterinary clinic. Okay. We have a website question. The road by the airfield going from Fort Sill Boulevard to housing is still closed. I thought it would be open today. Again, we have some road construction going on there, and I'd ask Mr. Butler just to expand upon that road and the intersection. Mr. Butler?
The intersection, again, is that of Fort Sill and Hoskins, and the road construction actually closes the road that'll go back to the housing area, as that is really the only access point for those that road. Hoskins from basically Fort Sill over to that's over to Condon. So given that, we've closed the road. It should be open here on 5 January, so the folks can now safely go from the housing area and enter onto Fort Sill, in particular going south, where we had a tremendous amount of accidents. And now there'll be a separate left turn lane with a signal control so that folks will be able to easily make that left turn onto Fort Sill headed back into Lawton. So we hope that the improvements that we've made to that intersection are going to help safety throughout the post.
Randy, thanks very much, and I'll highlight that the intersection of Fort Sill Boulevard and Hoskins was our most dangerous intersection. It was a hard line of sight, and it definitely needed a stoplight there. So the good news is it's coming. The bad news is it didn't make it on the predicted 30 November completion date, but we hope to see that right after the first of the year. Our next caller is Ryan. Ryan, can you hear me? Ryan, are you on the air? Okay, Ryan's question relates to the Patriot Estates housing area and why are cars allowed to park on the street? And to answer that is our representative from Purcern, Miss Amber McNeil.
I don't exactly know the specifics of the parking regulations in Patriot Estates, but we can definitely research that. I know that those homes have 2-car garages, so there should be adequate parking space in the driveways for 2 vehicles. And so we're going to work with DES and we'll investigate that. We're glad that Ryan brought that to our attention, and we'll start monitoring that more closely.
Thanks, Amber. I appreciate that. Our next caller is Amanda. Amanda, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
Amanda, go ahead with your question, please.
My concern is here in Geronimo housing area, the plumbing backs up quite a bit. My house has been flooded to where the water's even come out over the walls, and all they say is just to keep calling them to come with the thing to put down the drains. But, I mean, what do we do in the meantime when it keeps happening?
Well, Amber, thanks for your question, and that's very concerning. Again, I'll ask Ms. McNeil from Purcern to try to address your question. Amber?
Amanda, I'm sorry to hear that you've been having that reoccurring problem too, and not to get into too specifics with your home, I'd like, if it's okay with you, to give you a call. I've got your number. And that way we can look at the history of problems that you've been having in your home and bring a little more attention to that, because it sounds like to me you're having a reoccurring issue, and maybe we need to get some professional plumber out there to do a little more extensive work on the plumbing system of your home without knowing the specifics. I'm just giving some guesses here on what we might could do, but it sounds like we might need to do that. So if it's okay with you, I've got your number and we can follow up with you on that.
Okay.
Amanda, thanks for your call, and I hope the plumbing situation gets better, and I'm sure Ms. McNeil will follow up with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think our next caller is Matt. Matt, are you on the line? Okay, I think I went a little bit too fast for the operator. Matt, are you on the line? Okay, Matt's question is, why is the Edward Street in the 6,000 area closed off, but apparently nothing is happening? I have Mr. Butler from DPW will give some remarks on the Edward Street road project.
Matt, seems like we're talking about a lot of the roads, and Edward Street is another one that is under construction. Edward Street, for most folks, isn't well traveled because it's over on the east side, right across from where the motor pools are that support the basic training aspect for the post. Edwards is a little bit of a different repair because we're doing a full base repair. So if you've actually seen it, we've torn down all the way to the base of the road to rebuild that up. Right now, the base has been rebuilt fairly almost up to the sub-base level. So given that we're continuing to progress, the weather has an effect on us because we're in the, quote, dirt and the gravel layers of the road. So we have to have dry weather in order to get the compaction needed to support the asphalt surface that we'll be putting on. So right now, there's a lot going on. The project should be complete by February time period, so the Edwards will reopen about that time period, again, depending upon weather at this point. Thank you for your question.
Hey, some really great questions coming in. I'd encourage you to keep dialing. We'll continue to work on our new phone system, give us a chance to figure it out. But now we're going to go to another public service announcement.
The Directorate of Public Works announces Fort Sill road closings for the remainder of 2009 and the beginning of 2010. Edward Street will be closed to traffic from 19 October 2009 through 19 March 2010 for reconstruction. The road surface and base will be completely removed and reconstructed. The damaged sidewalk adjacent to Edward Street will also be replaced. All affected buildings in the area will be made accessible via alternate or temporary routes for the duration of the project. Tower 2 Road from Moway Road to 4 Mile Low Water Crossing is scheduled to be repaved from 26 October 2009 through 22 January 2010. Approximately 3 inches of road surface will be removed and replaced. The road will remain open to traffic at all times, with flagmen directing traffic as required. Motorists are cautioned to observe all flagmen and signs. The pavement will be grooved during removal operations, so motorcycles and small vehicles need to be very cautious. Minor Road, from Sheridan Road to Curie Road, will also be closed for repairs. Start and completion dates for the repair of Minor Road are not yet determined. All affected buildings in the area will be made accessible via alternate or temporary routes for the duration of the project. Appropriate signs and detours will be placed prior to start of work on these projects. These projects are being contracted through the Directorate of Public Works.
There were over 300 property crimes committed on Fort Sill in 2009. Of those cases of theft, over 70% of the property was found to have been left unsecured by the owner. There are 3 areas that continue to be a special concern for law enforcement. 1. Single soldier quarters. Windows, adjoining bathroom doors, even front entrance doors are routinely left unlocked, making it easy for a thief to enter and steal portable items, such as TVs, money, and military-issue gear. 2. The post-family housing areas have seen an increase in thefts. Thieves have been taking advantage of targets of opportunity, such as garages and cars being left unlocked at night. Lawnmowers, tools, bicycles, and military-issue gear are just some of the property being stolen from these areas. 3. Privately owned vehicles. Property such as wallets, purses, portable electronics, personal information from documents left in glove boxes are examples of property routinely stolen from POVs left unlocked. Please remember that Fort Sill regulation requires private property to be secured when not in use. Here are some tips that may prevent you from becoming a victim of property crime. Secure your personal property. That's half the battle. Keep your valuables out of sight. Leaving valuable property in plain view, either in your garage or POVs, creates an inviting target for a thief. Report suspicious people in your neighborhoods and work areas to law enforcement immediately. Keep an updated list of your property. Record serial numbers, mark with engraver, or photograph your property so that it can be identified if recovered by law enforcement. If you do become a victim of property crime, notify the police immediately. Secure the area until the police arrive, and be prepared with property information such as serial numbers, make and model, and other markings that may help police recover and identify your property.
Hey, welcome back. We continue to work our phone team back there. Emily and team are working hard to work the phone line, so please be patient with us. But we do have Steve on the line. Steve, are you there?
Yes.
Hey, Steve, thanks for calling, first of all, and please go ahead with your question.
I work for a private contractor out at Fort Sill on the new dining facility there on Moway Road, and our project has been closed since about the middle of September, and I was wondering when that job was going to get back open and get back online.
Well, Steve, thanks for your question, and we are aware of that project, and I'd like Mr. Butler from our Public Works to talk about that.
Thank you.
Steve, you've asked a real tough question. Right now, we've had, just this week, the Corps of Engineers, the senior leadership at Tulsa District has been here discussing that project with the principals of the firm that has hired your firm to work on the project. What we have is we have some construction deficiencies, we have time delays, and some things that the government is not pleased with as we have progressed. So yes, we issued what we call a stop work order. And that's what basically ceased all work until we, the governmental side, through the Corps, can address those deficiencies with the contractor. Well, that discussion has transpired this week. It was very positive, very fruitful. And what we hope to have is that the contractor's due, the prime contractor is due to come back to us in about a week's time with his plan to get back on schedule, to get back, correct the deficiencies that have been noted. And what that should do is then put you back to work as working on that project, getting it completed for us. So we look forward to working very diligently with the prime to get that project moving and give you an opportunity to complete it for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Butler. And Steve, thanks for the question. And you won a free oil change and filter from our Auto Crafts Center. And that prize can be picked up at the MWR desk in Building 4700. Okay, Steve?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I just remind our callers, keep calling in, but as you get on the phone, please turn down the volume on your television so you won't get the feedback. Our next caller is Carmen. Carmen, are you on the line?
Hello.
Hey, hi, Carmen. Go ahead with your question.
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm very well. And you have a comment for us?
Yes. You guys have some new street signs, I see.
Mm-hmm.
They really look awesome. You can see them directly. You can follow them good. I think they're really looking good.
Well, Carmen, we really appreciate your comment. And if it's okay with you, I'd like Mr. Butler, who's the director at the Public Works Directorate, is primarily responsible for those new street signs, to talk a little bit about that project. Mr. Butler?
Thank you, sir. And Carmen, thanks for the compliment. I think a lot of people realized that we needed to go throughout the post and replace and get the signs so that they were more readable, especially during darker hours. I really want to compliment Colonel Lacey because he helped us get there by giving us the funding at the end of the year here in order to do that. And we're almost complete with all the street signs throughout the installation. What we have right now is we're going to the major intersections and we're going to put lighted street signs at the major signaled intersections. The first one you'll see come this weekend that I just got notice we'll be installing there at Moway and Sheridan is we're going to put up our lighted signs and see how well those work. If those are what the Garrison commander likes, then we're going to start to do that throughout the post. So you'll again see better signal signs and street signs throughout the installation. So thanks for the comment.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to give a little bit more on the street signs. The folks working in the Director of Public Works and specifically our VT group folks are doing a great job installing those signs. And I just ask motorists that as you see folks working in the center aisles of the overhead signs, just be careful when transiting through those work areas. And I'm very excited to see the lit signs coming, because we know Fort Sill is quite dark after the sun goes down, and that'll improve transit throughout the installation. We're going to go to one of our interactive customer assessment questions. If you're not familiar with the ICE program, it's the customer's opportunity to provide comment, questions, concerns to us, the Garrison, and any service on Fort Sill directly. You can access the ICE button on the internet by going to the Fort Sill homepage and look for the ICE logo. And there you can comment on any service or any facet of Fort Sill. This question deals with the hours for services at Building 4700. And it should, the submitter says it should be more military friendly. Closing at 1600 or 4 p.m. when most people don't get off until 1700 or 5 p.m. means they don't have time to get off work to fix problems. And I'd like our director of the Military Pay Office to answer that question.
I appreciate the question, and it's a good one. If a soldier's pay is incorrect or there's a problem with it, that's a readiness issue, and therefore it should be corrected during normal duty hours. With that said, the majority of the pay issues that we handle in the Military Pay Office can be handled without the soldier ever having to come to the finance office. If they submit a pay inquiry to their S1, then the S1 sends that to us, and the majority of the time we can fix it. If not, then we set up an appointment with the soldier and have them come in. So most and almost all issues are really fixed during duty hours. And that really, we don't like to see soldiers out of, lose the training time any more than anybody else does. So that's the way that's handled, and we appreciate the question. Thank you.
And the overall hours at Building 4700 somewhat changed depending on the service provider that you go to see. Fortunately, unfortunately, we're kind of a different post here. We're not just a Forces Command or just a Training Command post, TRADOC. We have multiple commands, so for some the hours work better, for others not so much. So we're always taking a look at our service hours, if we can tweak them, make them better, and service a greater amount of population. So we will continue to look at that, and where appropriate, we will adjust hours by service. We have a call on the line. Lee, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, Lee. Well, thanks for calling, and go ahead with your question, sir.
Well, I am very pleased with the gate guards and everything at all your posts, at all your gates. I'm very pleased the way Gate 52 is covered up to have protection from the weather and everything else, from the rain, snow, sun, whatever. They got a cover over them, but then you got Fort Sill Boulevard, Sheridan Road, and Key Gate in the open. They got to stand there like ducks. I know how it is because I spend a lot of times in the field. Mm-hmm. And I know how it is just standing out there in the rain and the mud and everything else, so, and the weather. And also they're doing a great job. Do they have plans of moving the gates towards Fort Sill or what?
Well, Lee, thanks for your question, and I agree with you. The gate guards are doing a great job, as well as the rest of our Director of Emergency Services. You may notice we also have military police officers and our DA civilian police on the gates. But specific to your question about getting shelters on those gates you mentioned that don't have shelters, I'd like Mr. Butler, our Director of Public Works, talk about the future plans that we do have for covering those gates. Mr. Butler?
Lee, I like the fact that you brought up a question that has been asked numerous times on Town Hall, and we continue to try to make steps to cover and provide better shelter for the gate guards as a whole. We were able to provide cover both, as you mentioned, at 52nd Street and then out at Apache. The plan, as we were going to look at the other gates, Army came up with a new program which was called the AIE, which is the Automated Installation Entry Program. With that, we tapped into that particular program to start to work all the gates to actually put it in a more regimented, almost like a border crossing type of entry system into the post. What it'll do is allow us to go to an automated system once the software and hardware is installed, but initially what we're going to have is a covered entry type of system that you would see typically at one of our international border crossings, and it'll provide individual cover for the guards, plus allow us to establish a better traffic flow and security system for the gate guards and the emergency services to watch out for. Well, that's still even an interim step. What we have on the books right now is to go to what's called an ACP, an access control point, a full up. If you go to other installations like a Fort Hood or go to Fort Lewis, they have the full up access control point configuration. A lot of different engineering principles have to get into that in the way of speed, the way of how do we provide control for the guards to take a look at ID cards or automated entry type systems. But those particular projects are under design right now. And we will then submit those to the Department of Army for funding, because each gate's going to cost us quite a few dollars in order to bring the gate into full compliance with the Army security requirements. But that will be the end state, and that is on the books, and we're trying to get to that state that we provide a secure entry and a safe working place for the gate guards. Thanks for your question.
Lee, I know Mr. Butler gave you a long answer to that question, but in the short term, we hope to see that the AIE that Mr. Butler described early in the next calendar year. To be honest with you, we don't have a confirmed start date, but I know our Director of Emergency Services is pushing that project hard. So we appreciate your question, especially all of us who have been out there in the rain and, like you mentioned, in the field in the mud. So thanks for your question, sir. What we'll do now is we'd like to go to another set of our public service announcements. We'll be right back.
Reynolds Army Community Hospital has a dedicated physician in support of the Exceptional Family Member Program, known as EFMP. EFMP is a mandatory enrollment program that works with other military and civilian agencies to provide community support, housing, education, medical, and personnel services to active duty families with special needs. Special needs include physical, emotional, developmental, or chronic medical problems that must be considered in the military personnel assignment process. Family members must be screened and enrolled if eligible. This screening consists of a medical records review for all family members and a developmental screening for all children 72 months of age and younger. Soldiers are responsible for keeping their EFMP enrollment current as exceptional family member conditions change, or at least every 3 years, whichever comes first. For additional information, please call 558-3460.
Fort Sill has a road condition evaluation system in place that is used to determine the operational status of Fort Sill and its workforce. The following are conditions used to designate road status on Fort Sill. Green, normal driving conditions exist on post. Roads are dry and clear. Amber, cautionary driving conditions exist on post. Roads are very wet or ice/snow is present and caution is required at overpasses, bridges, or intersections. Red, hazardous driving conditions exist on post. Ice or snow is sticking to most road surfaces. Heavy precipitation and or high winds may limit visibility. Black, extremely hazardous conditions exist and driving condition may be life-threatening. All roads are covered with ice or deep, unplowed snow. Heavy snowfall and or high winds with low visibility is occurring. When weather conditions have deteriorated during normal duty hours and travel is becoming hazardous, post leaders may decide to close the installation or limit operations. The Installation Operations Center, IOC, will disseminate an early release message for non-essential personnel to the installation agencies and units. Designated mission essential personnel will remain at work consistent with their organization's mission requirement. When weather and road conditions have deteriorated during the night and are unsafe for travel, installation leadership may delay the opening of or close Fort Sill. If a delay or closure is required, the IOC will release the delayed opening/closure message to installations agencies and units. The Public Affairs Office, PAO, releases the delayed opening/closure message to local radio and TV stations. Mission essential personnel are those members of the workforce that have been designated by their leaders as essential. All soldiers, Department of Army civilians, and contract employees should know if they are designated mission essential. All employees should confirm their status with their supervisors. If you have any questions, please call the IOC at 580-442-3239 or 3232 or 3241 or 3872, or the MP desk at 442-2103. The IOC is located in the basement of McNair Hall Building 455, and the MP desk is located in Building 1649.
Reynolds Army Community Hospital would like to ask our to help us in efforts to reduce the number of no-shows. No-shows have a tremendous negative impact on our facility. They result in decreased appointment availability for other patients, decreased continuity of care, decreased efficiency, and decreased revenue for staff and services. In the last year, there were over 17,000 no-shows, which resulted in a loss of revenue of over $1.2 million. There are 3 ways you can cancel an appointment. Number 1, call 558-2000 during or after normal hours. 2, log on to www.tricareonline.com under your account. Or 3, select the cancel option when you receive your automated phone message reminder. We understand that last-minute problems may arise. If you find you're unable to make your scheduled appointment, please make every effort to call and cancel as soon as possible so that we can give that appointment to someone else.
Hey, welcome back. We're going to go to a website question, and our website question states, why are all ethnic observance events, as for example, luncheons, involve buying a ticket? All other places set up shows, displays, lunches, etc., that all ranks would go because they are free. We're pretty proud of our monthly observances put on by our EO staff. And to answer the question about the cost of those luncheons is Ms. Flanagan from our Family Morale and Welfare and Recreation.
That's a really very good question, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity to address it. Our ethnic observations are held at the Patriot Club, and MWR has certain Category C businesses that are required to break even and even make a profit to sustain themselves on the post. Unfortunately, recently, Fort Bliss and Sam Houston was required to close their clubs just because of this type of situation. We appreciate the question, and we'll definitely look at the ticket cost to keep it as low as we can for soldiers and family members so that all can attend. I would encourage you to visit the library where they do set up ethnic observations throughout each month, and those are free and available for you and your family. Thanks.
Thanks for your reply, Michelle, and I'd just like to expound upon it a little bit. Our MWR facilities, the ones that are B and C category facilities, need to make a profit to stay in business. Not trying to make a profit to make anyone rich, but to make a profit to continue the service to you, the soldier and family member. I'd ask you to consider our MWR venues as you start to plan your various events and parties, both units and your family parties. They give a great value for the dollar and, in my opinion, do a great job, specifically our Patriot Club, our Impact Zone, and some other venues. So, and Michelle did point out that the other observances and the information provided at the Nye Library and a couple other venues are free. It's just those that have a meal attached to them. We have another ICE question, and the question is, I have a quick question about fire safety and housing. Why do 2-story houses not have an emergency escape ladders to use when our primary route, almost always the main hallway downstairs, is blocked off by fire? And that's a great question, especially in this holiday season when we're using our heating systems and various holiday lights. I'd like Ms. McNeil from Pursuant Housing to attempt to give you an answer to that question. Amber?
That is a great question. All of the homes here on Fort Sill are equipped with smoke detectors, and we also provide fire extinguishers for every home. We do not, however, provide the emergency escape ladders. However, if families that do live in those 2-story homes would, like to have those, they're very they can go out and purchase those. And if there's installation that is involved, our folks in the neighborhood office would be happy to come out and help with that installation process. However, at this time, we do not offer those as part of the home. But we do keep those smoke detectors. We actually, as part of our preventative maintenance service that will be quickly rolling out here pretty soon, we'll be going out to the homes and checking all of those smoke detectors, making sure that the batteries are fresh. We encourage the families to check the batteries as well and let us know if the smoke detectors need fresh batteries. And then we'll continue to supply the fire extinguishers as well.
Amber, thanks for that, and really appreciate the safety and the attention to safety that Pacern and their team gives our housing. I'd like to ask Mr. Bob Pirtle, our Director of Emergency Services, come to the podium. And I've asked Bob, especially in this time of the holiday, just to talk to us a little bit about some safety tips, whether they go to crime prevention or fire safety. Mr. Pirtle, go ahead.
Sir, thanks. Just wanted to take this opportunity. I know a lot of families are going to be traveling over the holidays, particularly those that soldier families that live on post. And I would just ask, as you're leaving your quarters over the holidays, please secure your home. Please make sure that all the items that may be left out in the yard or things that you may have forgotten even over the fall months that you've got secured somewhere so that we can help you be safe. And when you get home, all those items are still in place when you left for the holidays. You know, an additional safety feature, sir, is I'd invite folks to please call our military police operations at 442-8703 and let us know you're going to be taking some leave or you're going to be traveling away from your quarters here on post, and we'll have those daily patrols go by and check your quarters for you. So I just would ask that through the holiday period, please make sure that you take those types of safety precautions. And one last thing, if you're shopping, whether downtown in Lawton or even here on the installation, and you're purchasing those holiday gifts, taking them out to your vehicles, please make sure you secure those vehicles. Unfortunately, there are others that are looking for opportunities to take those items from you and use them. And so I would just ask you to help us help you to protect yourself. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Pearl. I appreciate that, and that's sage advice. Okay, we have a caller online. Mrs. King, are you there?
Hello, yes I am.
Hi, ma'am. Thanks for your phone call, and please go ahead with your question.
Yes, my question is, we live in new housing, and we have a big problem with people speeding or racing through these streets, and we have a lot of kids on our streets, especially when they have, like, the yard sales going on twice a year here on base. I was thinking, you know, would it be that much to put in speed bumps so that, especially like when the concerts or anything that's going on in the polo field and the people are going the back way and are trying to, you'll have them literally racing up and down the roads. And I'm thinking, you know, putting speed bumps in would definitely slow them down.
Well, ma'am, first of all, thanks for your question. Thanks for your concern for the safety of our kids in the neighborhoods and your neighbors. I'd like my Director of Public Works, Mr. Butler, to answer that question. Mr. Butler?
Hi.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Mrs. King, for calling in. Between ourselves, the Public Works Directorate and the Directorate of Emergency Services, this question and this type of discussion has gone on numerous times because we are concerned and continuously watch out in the housing areas for those speeders. But from a traffic engineering point, we're real concerned about putting speed bumps in. And one is because as the emergency vehicles need to be able to traverse the streets, those bumps also cause them tremendous problems in getting to an accident or to an emergency in a timely manner. Additionally, during ice storms, like my equipment cannot properly clean the roads, and we then potentially create additional hazards. So there's a lot of different factors that go into should we have speed bumps or not. Where it really starts, and what we've talked about in prior times, is with your observations, calling back to DES and letting them know when you have seen a speeder, okay? Clearly, if you can give them a tag, a license plate number, some kind of identification, they can start to help you out. And I'll discuss it also with Mr. Pirtle to talk about those special events. You mentioned the concerts. If during that time you're getting a lot of traffic, maybe that's something that the DES needs to look at and try to say, how do we prevent people from using the housing areas as a speed-through area? But, you have a valid concern. Let us continue to work it with you.
Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay, well, thank you, Randy, and thank you, Mrs. King, for that phone call. I'd like to add that if you don't have a chance to call into the Provost Marshal or the Director of Emergency Services, and this is for anyone out there, just pull up the internet off your computer, the Fort Sill homepage, hit that ICE button, and send us a nice comment about your concern, whether it's traffic or some other concern. And if you desire and you leave a contact information, we'll get back to you. But more importantly, it'll inform us of your concern, and we'll be able to react to it. I'd like to start to wrap up tonight's town hall, but I'd just like to reinforce a couple of messages we started the evening off with. Our hearts go out to and our prayers go to the soldiers and family members down at Fort Hood. The Army's a family business, as many of you know, and we all feel for those families down at Fort Hood, especially at this holiday time. But I want to tell you and reinforce that we are ready and able here at Fort Sill to respond to any contingency or other event that may happen where our Director of Emergency Services, our hospital, fire will have to react. So I want the families, the soldiers, and our civilian workforce to be confident that we're doing everything possible to keep the base secure while still being reasonable in our measures. I'd also like to thank the staff. Off camera here, we have about 25 staff members that stood late after work to respond to these phone calls, as well as the staff that's behind the scenes, working the cameras, working the phones, and working the computers and the questions prior to this event. It's a team effort here at Fort Sill. Sometimes you have technical difficulties and we work through it, but what's most important is you all stay involved. Be our scouts out there, as we talked about. If you see something that doesn't look right, let us know. Call the Director of Emergency Services. Let your chain of command know. Let that company commander, battery commander, battalion commander, brigade commander know what you're seeing. They'll know how to fix it as well. Again, remind you about all the different events going on here at Fort Sill. Read the Cannoneer. I've instituted a weekly article, a column called Did You Know, in an effort to keep sending community information out there to inform you, the Fort Sill public. And I encourage you to take a look at the paper. It's an award-winning publication put out by our public affairs staff, and I think it's definitely worth the read. Finally, on behalf of the whole Fort Sill team, myself and my family, to your family, please have a great holiday time. Be safe. If you're traveling, take the proper precautions. Check out your vehicles. Have the right equipment with you, much of what Mr. Pirtle just said. Secure your home before you leave. Make sure the water is shut off. And just have a safe holiday. If you're staying around Fort Sill, please take advantage of all the offerings, both here on the installation as well down in Lawton and our surrounding communities. A lot of great people outside the gates, and they want us to participate with them. And finally, I'd ask you to think about our soldiers that are deployed and in harm's way. You saw the president the other night talk about deployments. We have soldiers here from Fort Sill and soldiers throughout the Army, as well as Marines, Airmen, Navy, and Coast Guardsmen that are in theater doing the work that we've told them to do. And I'd ask you just take a moment during your holiday to remember those soldiers and their families as you celebrate your holiday. Again, thanks for tuning in. Sorry about our technical difficulties. We'll do better next time, but you all have a great holiday season. Good night.